Hey guys, Art13131 again here, and we are in week 4. So we're moving right along, right along. Actually, next week is the midterm presentation, which I can talk a little bit about now, and then I'll talk again about it on Wednesday. And you'll have about a week or so. It's due at the end of next week, so we'll talk about it. Anyway, number 7 is the profile portrait. So profile being the side of the face, as opposed to the front or a 3/4 view. It's the side view. And to show you an example, I always start off with the skull because, as you can see, the eyes are actually set in the middle of the head, basically. From the top to the bottom chin. The chin may extend a little bit further, so at least it could be on the other side of half, but not by much. As you can see here, you see why the head is shaped the way it is. The neck's going to come down around, back here. There's a lot of neck area, and then the jaw coming down and meeting the neck here. Now, this kind of shows you why you have cheekbones, why there's indentations here, and something for the nose and the brow, and then you have this indentation right here. So this kind of gets you geared up for the head shape on the side. And then I always like to show this as like a template of where things are generally placed, within reason. Typically, the eyes, again, are around the middle of the head, or maybe slightly above that. I'm sorry, above that. Yeah, I meant above before. So, maybe they're slightly above that, depending on the head shape or how long somebody's jaw is. But they're not way the heck up here, and certainly the head isn't cut off. A lot of mistakes students make is they start cutting off the head around right there, And I always say, hey, you gotta extend that head up because it looks really short up there. You really have to notice that. You think because the hair may start here that this part is really cut off here. It isn't. There's a lot of cranium up there. So about halfway, and then the eyes are set back from the nose on the side view by maybe 3/4 of an eye length from the side, back off the nose here, back off where the nose bridge is. And this is an indentated part right there that goes down and around here. So you want to sort of look at this as you're drawing from your model. It could be your head or somebody else's head that you've taken a photo of, or if they're going to sit there long enough for you to draw, that's great. If not, take a photo, but have a light source that is going to show some shadow areas. So maybe, coming from the top here onto the face, or just straightly from this side over here, coming in, rather than straight on from where you're looking here. Straight on the face is gonna, if the light source is straight on the face coming as you're looking at it, then it's going to not create as many shadow areas that you need. So light source is very important there. Okay. And then where the ears are typically on the other side of the half of the head. You have this line here, maybe that's about halfway. But the ears are back here. And they run from basically the length of the top of the eye to about the top of the mouth. See how that works? Top of the eye, top of the mouth. And then it comes down and around kind of in an angle. So they're kind of tipped back slightly. They're not straight up and down. And then you got your mouth here, which is, the nose coming right off the eye here, coming in where the nostril is, and then this perforation. Then the mouth is sort of in between the bottom of the chin and the nose, but on the higher side of that. So there's a little less distance from the nose to the top of the lip than there is from the bottom lip to the chin. Okay, this sort of like gears you up for, and then look at what your model is, and notice the differences, but there won't be a big difference. But this is sort of gearing you up to where this is going to be. Also, the head shape is kind of like an egg shape on its tilted back slightly. This is all round back into here till it slightly comes forward here, and then you got the facial features. But if you were to actually do a gesture drawing of sort of an egg shape, and then adjust where the nose and mouth are and the eye, and erase out and adjust and put that in there, you could make a gesture drawing of the head that way. It'll be shown in a video. I'm going to show you a video of doing the profile. An artist drawing that and shading it, okay? So then you can look at that as well. When you go to Bing and you look up profile drawings, you're going to find like sort of cartoon-ish faces like this one, and this one-ish is bordering on reality, but realism, but it's also kind of a cartoon face. As opposed to this one, or this one. This one has a lot of expression, but still it's more realism, as this one is and that one is. What you really want to notice is that these have no shading. This one, no shading, no shading, no shading, no shading. That's almost typical of cartoons, although a lot of anime and stuff can have some shading. But you want to put the shading in, otherwise it's flat. It doesn't have a shape. There's not much shape to those faces. But when you get this one, you have some shading. You want those light and dark areas to show where the cheekbone is, where the indentation is, where the dimples are, and where the nose curves back here and you have a dark area there, and where the brow is and you have a dark area around the eyes and stuff. That's a pretty good one for shading here. You notice on the brow there and around back in here, and also right in here and down here. All this is darker, and then you have the lighter areas. And then of course the hair can be light and dark strands. You can start off with a lot of tone in there and then kind of erase out the shiny part with long eraser marks that kind of look like hair, or strands of hair like in here. Boom, 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 boom. You could erase that out to create that after you put the tone in first. That's a good way to do it. They'll show you some of that too in the video. This is a more scratchy sort of shading, which isn't really accurate. Unless you're drawing someone with a lot of wrinkles and rough skin, then fine. But if it's smooth skin, then I would prefer you use the side of the pencil and smooth out your marks. You can do that with a Q-tip. You can do that with a rag over your baby finger and kind of rubbing in where the graphite is to smooth out some marks and whatnot. But you want smoother tones than not if you're trying to show smooth skin. If you're not showing smooth skin and you're showing rough skin, then okay. And scratchy skin, then okay. But typically it's not like that unless you have an older person, a really older person. Yeah, so you can look through these. Find profile, which is total side of the face. You don't want to see the other eye. You don't want to see it kind of twisted toward you. That's a 3/4 view. You want total side view, okay? And stay away from doing anime or cartoon faces that aren't real. Don't make something up. It's not from your imagination. This is from an actual photograph you're working from. It could be one of these, or it could be something of a friend or family member or yourself, that you took a profile photo of yourself with a good light source coming in from one direction or the other, not straight on. That's why this is very strong, because the light is coming from up this way. You have dark areas back here, and light and dark and light and dark. This makes for a strong drawing. You have light straight on coming from, as I'm looking straight at this. If it came from where I'm looking, it's just going to be all light tones and very few darker ones. So you want those darker tones. And typically all skin has a tone. Unless, you know, it's a very lit up area. It's very small, like maybe on the nose or the brow or something. Most skin has a tone. Nobody's got skin like as white as this paper. It's not. Okay, so there's a slight tone in there somewhere. And this is showing, okay, this is where but most of it has a tone. I would say stay with that idea. Even a slight tone is going to be more accurate than something else. But then you do have, you know, very light reflection marks on parts of the skin here and there. This is going to give you that great contrast you need for a very, very strong drawing. Anything with light tones and no contrast or no shading is not going to show the shape. It's not a very strong drawing. I mean, it's okay for cartoon stuff, but we're not doing that in this class. We're doing realism, what you actually see, what they really look like, not a made-up face, not turned-up noses and big eyes and stuff like that. That's not going to work. Okay, so you can, and like I say, you can do babies and young people or older people. It doesn't matter. This is again that scratchy sort of. The baby doesn't have that kind of scratchy skin. It's kind of not really realism here when you do it like that, when you shade like that. I mean, it's a strong drawing. It looks cool. But why isn't that working? That one's not coming up. Let's see. Yeah. Depends on how you shade that, though. I mean, that's a good drawing, obviously, but it's not really accurate. Does the baby have scratchy skin like that? No, probably not. It's smooth. You want to smooth out your graphite. Excuse me. So look at these. Look at what you're going to draw from, and notice all the lights and darks, where the head shape is. Watch the video. The video will help you as well map out and gesture draw the shape of the head, where the eyes are placed, how big of a nose comes out, and where the lips are. And then there's shading on the lips that are not one, it's not one shade. If you notice from these, there's a, you know, lit up part on that bottom lip, and the top lip has a couple of different areas that are either lit or not. It's not all the same, even if you had lipstick on. It isn't. There's going to be light and dark areas to the lips and to every part of the face. Now, what I want you to notice as well is that the eye is not a big oval shape from the side. It's more like a slanted triangle. We have a round part in the front, and then these part meet in the back to a point. So it's kind of like a triangle shape as opposed to an oval round shape, because the side of the eye right there where it meets is not rounded off. It meets into a peak right there. Okay? And you have your eyelashes, and you have a little bit of a upper eyelid right there that meets where the eye socket and the eyebrow up here, this area, that's going to probably all have a tone in there of some sort, depending on your light source. And I want to really pay attention to your light source. Really pay attention to where those light and dark areas are and start putting them in. That's what's going to give you your shape. If you put them in the right places, you will have good results. It just sort of happens. This is as much of a cartoon face that I think I'll accept, because it's pretty bordering on a lot of realism. Maybe the eye is a little more exaggerated, but not by much. You go any further than that, I'm going to say, hey, that's cartoon. I don't know. Okay, so look at these. This is definitely cartoon. You know, big, elongated eyes, turned up nose like that. That's more of your cartoon style. Same with this one. Well, this is bordering more and a little more in realism, but that little pointed, turned up nose is kind of giving it away. So, you know, I mean, if you actually photograph somebody that looks really like that, then you send me that photograph too, because I want to see that they look like a cartoon face. All right. Okay. And like you can you can shade in the background as well. You don't have to leave it white. You can really get epic with this, or you can leave it white. But it's something like this. You have a kind of a buffed, you know, thing that you don't know what's back there, but it looks like something's back there, right? It's kind of smudged graphite in there all over the place. It looks very cool. It it lifts. What that does is it lifts the face right off the page at you. It's not laying flat on the page anymore. Ah, that's not. Oh, there we go. It's got that scratchy sort of thing too, but then it also has. I'm wondering if this is more of a digital. Looks digital right there. But then it does have tone around the face and then light reflection marks, right? Everybody's skin's going to have a tone. It's not white as paper. I mean, in fact, anything you're drawing, it isn't as white as paper. It has a tone. And then you're going to work with those light and dark tones to show its shape. That's in everything. And there may be some light reflection marks on skin from the very shiny areas that are picking up the light very brightly. And they change the tone of the actual skin there to a very light reflection mark. Okay? That's sort of what's happening in this one. But typically everybody has some tone, darker or lighter. And that's what I want to see you put in. All right, so watch the video. That's going to help you a lot. And then get started on this, and I'll talk again on Wednesday. The midterm presentation is a 5-minute long PowerPoint, Google slide, or a video, something like that, where you can at least advance through different images or show a video of different images. And you're going to do a presentation on either an artist or an art style or an art movement or something in art history or a process in art, a art movement like surrealism, realism, postmodernism, modernism, pop art, surrealism. You know, there's many. And you find out what you like and then go for that. Impressionism is one of my favorite. And it could be in any medium. It could be watercolor, acrylic, oils, pastels, chalk, charcoal, drawing. It could be ceramics. It could be jewelry. It could be cake making. It could be tattoo. Anything that has an artistic aspect to it. Then that's what I want you to either pick one or the other. It doesn't have to be what we're doing in this class, which is drawing or painting. It can be anything in art, okay? Performance art, graffiti art. Yeah, it could be anything. So you wanna look for what you really like, what's interesting to you, and report on that. Do a presentation. I don't want to read up paper. You don't have to write an essay on this. Just be able to either put bullet points and describe, have text to your video, and at least five or more images of what you're talking about, of the artist or their work or the process or whatever it is about your presentation. Show examples of it, 5 or more. And then the biggest thing is you're going to produce your own artwork on this. Now, if it happens to be something you're doing artistically out of this class that you want to report on or do a demonstration on, a presentation, excuse me. Anyway, you want to do a presentation on anything else that you're actually involved in art, and you have your own work, then great. Otherwise, whatever you're presenting on, you want to relate to it with your own artwork. So if it's surrealism art, you're going to do a surrealism drawing or painting and include that in your presentation. Talk about your one art piece that you're showing, that you understand what's going on. You're trying to show that you're depicting it and creating your own take on that. It can be your own take. It doesn't have to be perfectly like the artist or the art movement you're showing, but it has to relate to it in some way or another. And we'll talk about this again on Wednesday. That's going to be due at the end of week 5. End of week 5 is next week, not this week, okay? So you have plenty of time to do it. It's only 5 minutes long, but time yourself so that it's not short. It can be longer than that, but it doesn't have to. I don't want it shorter than 5 minutes. So time yourself watching it and reading it, and it should take you at least 5 minutes to get through. All right, we'll talk about that again on Wednesday. Get busy with this and watch the video I post, and we'll see you then.